So I'm here on the roof of the media centre at Wimbledon, about a week to go now before the championship starts, with a brilliant behind-the-scenes look at how this, one of the most traditional sports tournaments, never mind tennis tournaments, in the world, comes together. We're going to be speaking to the man who is charged with bringing all the balls in, all 66,000 of them. We're going to be chatting to somebody who sometimes is practising for 7 hours a day as a hitting partner for whoever wants her at whatever time they want her. And we're going to talk to Gigi Salmon as well, the commentator, about how this place retains those incredible traditions we all love in a world where everything else seems to be about innovation and sport is constantly looking at ways of reinventing itself. Wimbledon holds on to some of the most wonderful traditions, and yet it still feels like it's right on the edge of brilliance, excellence. And look at this place, the manicured lawns, the beautiful plants. It is extremely beautiful. I described it the first time I came here as a sporting kind of utopia. It's like Disneyland if you love sport, because everything here is just perfect. We're going to get underneath all of that and see who else we meet along the way. And I'm on my own today, and it's not because Mark wasn't smartly dressed enough when we arrived here this morning. He's travelling. He can't be here. He's going to miss out on a good one, though. I know he'd love to be here, but I am thrilled to take a look at Wimbledon behind the scenes. Welcome to the Sports Agents. Thank you so much, Gigi, for joining us up here on the roof of the media centre. It's the quiet before the storm, isn't it?
I love it. It's my favourite time. It's that time you can imagine a child being let loose in a toy shop and they're the only people in there. This is a time you walk around and you'll see players wandering around with their rackets. You can go anywhere, be anywhere. I love it when the tournament's on, don't get me wrong. But isn't this nice to be here when you've effectively got the free run of Wimbledon?
And it's also seeing behind the scenes, because I've been lucky enough to be coming here since I was about 19 years old. And every year I'm amazed at how manicured and perfect and beautiful everything is. But of course it has to get beautiful. And obviously there's maintenance throughout the year, but you see people erecting various things and working and painting the tiny little areas that it's just incredible. It's a machine, isn't it, how it operates?
And you were saying before it started, every year you come and you notice something different and something that's changed and something that's been added, and that's exactly the case. You look around and think, what's happened? But the thing that stays the same is how beautifully manicured it is. Those people out there, I'm not really one of them, who love gardening. They always they just feel quite bad when they come here. Why can't my plants look like this? Why doesn't my grass do this? Why isn't it? It's just, it's
the
so...
courts, yeah. I mean, they're the most important thing to be manicured.
Yes, they are the most important thing. But it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah,
you come and just feel special.
Even here, this is the media centre.
It's like a spaceship.
Yeah, I think it's about 15 years ago I did an evening show, which was Love 606, which was kind of the precursor to... We were supposed to be up here every night, right, doing a show which was going to be a phone-in, and various guests were kind of, the great and good of the commentary team from 5 Live. Of course, it got rained off every night.
Of course it did.
And we were downstairs in the old studio. Do you remember the old radio studio?
Yes.
But now, this place is... It's like a spaceship. It's very futuristic, isn't it? It's beautiful.
Really, and what I really love, and this new media centre, this new part of the media centre opened a few years ago, is this is now where they bring all the players. So you have to have certain access to be here, but they come and do all their interviews up here.
Yeah.
And in those first few days, it's really nice. You've got the great and good just sort of wandering, and they're very relaxed because they can be relaxed up here.
Which is so unusual for a big sporting... If you compare this to, say, a football World Cup, can you imagine? The players just getting in the lift. I mean, one of the great anecdotes that I love is from BBC's television sport was they obviously have the trucks outside where they do all the technical stuff, and they actually put the pictures around the world. And there was a knock on the gallery door, and it was Roger Federer, because somebody had asked him to turn up at 4:00.
Oh.
And he did. On his own.
That's the unusual thing, on his own. There's normally like a trail of people behind them telling them where they have to be. But that's what I love on days like this. You might just be wandering along and have one of the best players in the world just alongside you having a chat, because they feel very relaxed. And I think a little bit like football, they know a lot of the people that travel the world with them. So they'll get in a lift and they'll walk down a corridor. But it is still, when you see Yannick Sinner suddenly alongside you asking how you are still a little bit taken back. But they're just like the rest of us. They just like having a little wander around.
And they love coming here. So let's talk about why this is head and shoulders. I mean, I don't think there are many people in sport who would say that anywhere rivals this, really. Augusta, maybe. And I sat next to somebody. I was lucky enough to be in the Royal Box last year, and I sat next to one of the guys who basically runs Augusta. And the reason he's invited, he says, is because Wimbledon and Augusta see themselves par excellence. They are the two brand leaders in terms of global sporting meccas, places that people just want to come to. and I guess for the tennis players, you'll know better, that's the same.
I think it's interesting. Obviously, British tennis players will say Wimbledon because it's their home slam. What gets me is when I just will ask a random player from somewhere, where's your favourite slam? Or maybe I'll ask an Australian or a French player, an American, and they'll say Wimbledon. And I'll say why. And for a lot of them, it was one of their first memories growing up. And the grass is such an oasis. When you look at the tennis calendar, which never stops, you can lose yourself in the clay or the hard courts. But it's just this little tiny part of the year where this beautiful green, lush grass comes into play. And some players hate playing on it. Casper Ruud famously said grass is for golf and it's not for tennis. And he's actually had to withdraw from Wimbledon due to a knee injury, so he will not be here.
Not due to his statements.
Was that part of it? We'll just take a little bit longer on rehabilitation. It's not for everyone, but it looks so beautiful. I think so many people have a memory, myself included, when they were young and they were watching television and they saw Wimbledon, and it just makes such an impression on you. And I think that's the same for the players. And I think they also love the tradition, because all the slams have their own personality. But I just feel when you're here, you dress a little smarter and you walk a little bit taller. And I don't want to offend any of the Parisians who will say that the French Open has to be up there for the fashion, and it is. But there is something about when you come here, when I have friends who come here, what shall I wear? Do I need a jacket and a tie? I'm like, you're sitting on the hill. And they're like, yes, but it's Wimbledon. How do I sit on the hill at Wimbledon? However you like.
But there are so many ways to enjoy Wimbledon. As you pointed out, the hill is for the more casual observer who likes the kind of, slightly more raucous environment of the hill. There's obviously the more demure, those who are going into hospitality. The Royal Box, where you really have to think about what you're wearing, and obviously you can watch sport everywhere. The courts go on for feels like miles at the back there, and there's more hospitality at the back there as well. But tradition is the watchword, isn't it? And let's talk a little bit about the players' traditions, because obviously wearing white is the only tournament left where they have to wear white, and there's been kind of talk over the years about whether they should bend that rule or not, whether there's any kind of flexibility. Most of the players don't seem to mind that.
They don't mind. I mean, in recent years, we've had the change of the undershorts because women were very concerned if it was their period, their time of the month. It's very uncomfortable. Can you imagine being dressed all in white and having to go out there and perform maybe for sort of 2.5 hours? So that was a recent adjustment that came in, and some players have embraced it and said, yes, that's what I'm going to do. Others say, well, no, I like the all-white rule. But I think you're right. They don't really complain about it. I think they love how smart it looks. You're wearing the one colour. Obviously, it's their brands that come up with, but it has to go through a committee. So if there's too much of another colour, I know Adidas have got a little bit of green on, but if it's too much, it will be sent back.
And so before they even walk out on court, that has been approved?
Yes. The clothes have to be approved because it has to be as white as it can be. Again, the undershorts is a separate thing for the female players. But if there's too much, it goes back. The manufacturers know how much colour is too much colour. They sometimes try and push it a little bit.
So anybody watching Queens will have seen that we had
all sorts.
We did away with the line calls, the line judges, which has kind of come up in conversation in commentary a few times as well, whether or not the commentators liked this. And one of the kind of aspects of that is then you're going to go to have a decision, a VAR with Hawkeye. So this changes a little bit here this year, doesn't it? That's going to be one of the big innovation changes.
Yeah, it's huge. And I was talking to Tim Henman, who I work a lot with throughout the year on Sky Sports Tennis, about it, saying, well, this is going to be very different because the French have said, no, we're keeping them. It's a tradition and we want them. Wimbledon have decided that times are changing. You have to move with the times. As a commentator, I will miss, I think I said it and it sounds wrong, but it does make sense. I will miss the erect limbs because as a commentator in a commentary box, you look for the arm. And if there's 12,000 people cheering and screaming and something is so fine and you're tucked away in a corner, it's that arm that goes out or goes down, and that tells me absolutely everything. So that has been, and I think other commentators would agree, that's been a slight change. In terms of a route for players to become umpires, that's something else. People to become umpires, that's something else people have looked at because it takes away from that. But I think the players have embraced it and they've taken to it. And even on the clay, when you can still come down and check the courts, it's largely leaving us.
And also, that moment where somebody smacks a line judge in the head with the ball, fall by accident, that provides hilarity for everybody. And obviously the player usually goes up, gives them a hug, or gives them some kind of paraphernalia out of their bags as some kind of compensation. Those human moments are gone.
But then we've also had the human moments when Novak Djokovic did it by mistake in the US Open, and you can be disqualified for hitting the line judge. So we've got rid of the good and bad of the line judges getting in the way. But there is, and if you turn to a line judge and say you're wrong and it's not right, you're right, it's taken away, because they can go to VAR, but the decision's not going to change.
No.
If a computer said it's out,
That's
yes,
it.
you can look at it, but the computer's suddenly not going to say, oh, actually, I made a mistake, because the computer is always right. So it's taken away that sort of, is it? Well, no, we know.
So that's the big, would you say, technical or
Yes.
technological innovation that we're going to see?
And that's going to look quite different, isn't it? Because how many people are used to seeing the line judges? They are just a part of tennis. There is actually a commentary box with BBC 5 Live in Australia, and we're very low down, so we're sort of calf height at the players. And the reason I'm happy they've gone is because all you'd see is a bottom. So a certain side of the commentary window, there would just be a bottom in the way. And you can't move it. So you're trying to sort of describe the point and you're like, it's really actually... So that's actually been quite nice that has been removed. But I think for people, it will be strange. But like the shot clock coming in, 25 seconds to get the first over. People were up in arms. Rafa Nadal said, there's no way I can do this. It's disgrace. Everyone's done it. And I think it's like anything, change does take time, but then we move on and we continue with it. And I think overall, I think it is a good change to have.
And that's kind of an evolution here, isn't it?
Yes.
They don't want to throw everything out but they've got to go with the times. Let's talk a little bit then about British prospects here,
Yes.
because Jack Draper didn't quite make the final at Queen's. We found out he was poorly, had tonsillitis, not looking himself in the semi-final, but clearly has come into this with a great run of form and has got himself into a lovely position for the draw.
It's amazing, isn't it, to think that this time last year he was around 40 in the world. He's going to be the 4th seed at Wimbledon is absolutely incredible. He's just 23 years of age. I think a couple of things with Jack coming into Wimbledon, the attention on him will be like nothing he has ever known. He got to the semi-final at the US Open, but that's far from home. He wins a 1,000 title just below the Grand Slam at Indian Wells. He gets the final in Madrid on clay, which was incredible, but still it's away from home. And everyone knows that the British players, whatever sport they're in, if they're competing at home, that pressure. And even his brother Ben, who's his agent, said it's going to be a different level, and Jack knows that as well. So I think that's the first thing to take into consideration with Jack coming into Wimbledon, how the pressure is going to be. But it's incredible. I've been lucky enough to get to know him a lot better over the last few months. We cover all the tournaments on Sky. We've got 80 ATP, WTA, and he's been doing really well. And just getting to know him as a person, he's the real deal. He really is the real deal. Physically, mentally, he has come on so much in the last year. He's also got the belief and he's got the drive. He's got all those ingredients. I imagine, Gabby, when you look at sportsmen and women, sometimes you can just see and think, actually, they've got it. And as long as they stay fit and healthy, they can achieve what they want to achieve, and you definitely see that in Jack.
It's interesting. I was lucky enough to get tickets to go and see Andy Murray with Andrew Cotter at the Apollo on Saturday night, and I was reminded of Andy Murray's trajectory, in terms of, because they did it kind of chronologically, and you could see this skinny kid that turned up at Wimbledon the first year and just physically did not have what it took to go 5 sets, and then you could see him getting stronger and stronger. With Jack, obviously, he's physically so strong, isn't he? We saw him struggle a little bit with maybe it was just not having the right electrolytes, whatever it was. In the US Open, he was sick on court, but there's definitely been work on his kind of S&C and his staying power for 5 sets. Do you feel he's got, should he be pushed to 5 sets kind of almost every time he goes out on court here? Has he got what it takes?
100%, and I think part of that was also anxiety, and that's something he spoke about, and the anxiety making him feel sick, and that's something he had to deal with, and something he worked on in the closed season. And we saw a few meditation techniques early in the year when he would look at his thumbs, and apparently that's something you do to focus yourself and regulate yourself. But he also said, I need to be in those positions, so I don't know how I'm going to deal with nerves or stress or physically until I'm in those positions. He's learnt to deal better in the heat. That's a big thing. We're not going to have that problem at Wimbledon, hopefully.
So what's the forecast?
I don't know. I don't like to look because it can change. We're here today, a week before it starts, and it's a little bit chilly. It's a little bit overcast. But I'm hoping it's going to be fine. Look, we have roofs. So
this is a woman who clearly goes around the world in very hot places covering tennis, because this is chilly. I'm loving this.
Are you loving that? You have a jumper on. You're a little bit chilly.
Well, I've been here enough times where the rain has spoilt the occasion, and kind of before we had 2 courts that you could, close the roof on. Nowadays, obviously, it's very rare, isn't it, that the schedule gets too affected by weather. It's been pretty good the last few years.
You'd have to have terrain. Look, everywhere I've been this year with Sky, it's rained. So
it's you, Gigi Salmon. You are the one.
I'm starting to think. I'm sort of a glass half empty person when it comes to the weather. Look, hopefully, but it's not going to get to temperatures that would cause some physical
going back
problems.
To Jack.
Look, no player wants to be pushed 5 sets every single round, because you've got to win 7 rounds to win a Grand Slam. But physically, he's worked so much on himself physically. It feels like the injuries, touch wood, are a thing of the past. Mentally, he's in the right place. He's got the drive. He's now 4 in the world. He has the belief he can beat anybody. Again, I think for me here, obviously it's the draw, but also it's the pressure and it's the expectation, which is going to be vastly different from, say, 12 months ago.
Can he do it?
Go all the way? This year? I'm not sure he will this year. I would still have Carlos Alcaraz as my favourite to win Wimbledon, but can he in the future? Yes. Will he? Yes, I think he will. Will he win Grand Slams? Yes. Is it going to be this year? I might be proved wrong. I would love to be proved wrong, but I don't think it will be this year.
He's certainly got a personality, hasn't he, that people, I think, have really warmed to. He seems quite candid and honest, and he's quite open, and feels like he's natural, really, actually, when it comes to talking to the media, in a way that Andy actually talked at the weekend about how he struggled at first because he was really honest, and then there was that one comment about not wearing an England shirt during the World Cup and buying a Paraguay shirt, and then he shut up shop for a few years because he became paranoid about the media and they were going to turn his words. And that, I think, is going to be, as you alluded to, a big kind of moment for Jack in this next few weeks, isn't it? Because the media are going to be on him like never before.
Yeah, and you find a lot of players do that. There's one moment where something's taken out of context. I remember Sloane Stephens years ago. They just shut down, and some of them never open up again. And it's really difficult. Luckily, with Sky, we built up a good relationship with the British players because we want to promote them, we want to help them, we want to be part of the journey. If they lose, sometimes you have to ask more difficult questions, but I'm not there to stick a knife in anyone. I want to sort of learn from them and get to know them, so hopefully they have that trust in us. Sadly, not all people have the same agenda, and there will be those people who want to twist the words, but I think Jack's got his head screwed on. He's sensible, he's quite serious, he's quite intense as well with what he's doing, and as you said, he's honest. I think everybody loves that about him. I think he has good people around him, and I think with any sport, it's the people you have around you. I mentioned his brother Ben, who's his agent, his mum Nikki is very involved as well. He has good people. James Trotman, his coach, who's been with forever. And I think in any sport, if you have that good, close-knit people around you, I think that makes the world a difference.
And am I right, there's 21 British players?
Well, there's 21 the main draw. There's over 56. If you want Wimbledon as a whole, and I'm talking the wheelchair competition, the juniors, qualifying, we're over 56.
Right.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. But 21 in the main draw, in the men's and women's. So there's a lot to get behind.
Yeah, there are.
And of course, Emma Raducanu's recent form has seen her go back to being British number 1. There was obviously this year kind of upset for her, as well as the injuries and maybe a bit of inconsistency that she's had. What went on with the stalker who has apparently also applied for tickets here. And a lot has been, I think, rightly kind of said about that and what Wimbledon does to protect the players. Because the thing about the access here is so brilliant. As you say, you can literally brush shoulders with the top player. And that would be such a shame to lose that kind of closeness and the way you can get kind of so close to your heroes.
It's hard, isn't it? And I wonder, anyone like yourself in the public eye, and people might tell you, put things on Instagram and put your life and whether it's your family or what you're wearing or where you're going so people can relate to you and get to know you. And for 99.9% of the people, that's enough and that's all they want. And that's the same with Emma Raducanu. And Emma wants to get close to her fans and be part of it. But you have that section of people that suddenly really believe they do know her and they're owed a lot more. And it's awful and it's very difficult for them because, as you say, you go to a lot of tournaments. And a Grand Slam, there's a lot more security. At smaller events, they're even freer, as it were, to walk around and to meet the fans. In Indian Wells, there's a big sort of football style area where the players come up and you don't want to lose that. And it's that kind of mix between, yes, they have a social media presence, and they want that social media presence, and maybe they have sponsors who say they have to have that presence, But at the same time, and it's no excuse to anyone who takes things too far, but there are people that say, well, therefore I have a right because I've seen this and she's doing this. And it's such a difficult balance because she is a young girl. She is working hard at what she does. She has crossed over tennis. I mean, she's one of those players, like a Serena Williams, that has gone, I bump into people where I live in the chemist and I say, how's Emma doing? I'm like, that's really random when I've come in for a prescription. It's just, but people, they want to know about her. And it's so frightening. And she was just, I think it was in Dubai, and she'd just gone for a walk in the mall. She shouldn't need always to take people with her. She should be allowed to be young, but at the same time, she is in the public eye. She's a role model. It's a very difficult balance, but the tournaments, the Grand Slams, they are doing so much. And I know in the French there are apps that players can log into, and it cuts out the social media nonsense. You know, the awful, the vile messages that some of them get when they lose a match. And they have an app that just deletes all that, so they will never see that.
And there was last year, because she was playing mixed doubles and then she pulled out playing mixed doubles with Andy Murray, and there was a kind of a bit of a, because it was going to be his last Wimbledon, there was this kind of, you know, the diehards kind of took it out on her, didn't they, and felt that she'd ruined a moment. And actually he, at the weekend, talked about actually finishing Wimbledon playing with his brother was actually the most beautiful thing of all. So, but she comes back in kind of almost trying to kind of regain that currency that she had here, and Jack's obviously now the guy. So do you think in a way for her it's good that Jack's going to get that attention? She can come in and just, you know, start her journey again in a way.
Emma Raducanu will never ever be able to go anywhere under the radar. She's bigger than everyone. She is still bigger than Jack. And if, again, just bring it back to Sky, she gets the numbers. If you write about her, if you feature, everyone wants to see her. They want a piece of her. They want to be part of her. And I think when she took the time out, she had the surgery and she came back, there was less attention, but I think still when you come here, there is still more attention on her, whether it's her coaching setup, whether it's who she's seeing or not seeing, how she's playing tennis. There is so much interest in Emma Raducanu. And even, I was actually sitting next to Jack on a flight back, we were chatting away, and we were talking about the coverage and how it's going, and he said, well, it's really great that you've got Emma. And I said, we've also got you, Jack. And he said, yeah, but I bet, you know, Emma's the one that takes the headlines, and she still does.
Yeah.
Everyone wants a piece of her, so as much as she will want to come in under the radar, she won't be able to.
No.
You know, who's in her box and who's coaching and how's she going to play and what's she going to do, and she's won a Grand Slam before, and why has she not done this? It's crazy that he can be four in the world, but it always feels like there's more expectation and pressure on her.
And to that, who's coaching her? There is a contrast there, isn't there? A marked contrast with the way that Jack's team has been very stable, and her team has not. She's had, you know, a whole kind of kind of revolving door of people coming in and out, and whether she wants somebody regular or not. And she's talked about kind of having fun and wanting a team that makes her feel that tennis is fun again. Has she got that in place right now?
I think she has a team in place. Do I think it will be long term? No. It's not how she works, and we can all have our view on it. And I think there are areas that there should be stability, maybe a physio, or hire someone who's going to be your personal trainer or physio with you, who gets to know you and your body, because that's so important. In terms of the coaching, it's always how she's worked. She'll take bits from people, and at the time she got together with Mark Petchey, she wanted to relax and have more fun. She spoke about in Madrid that they were playing football before matches, and she realised she was left-footed, and that relaxed her. And I remember watching her through Miami when they started to do a bit together, and speaking to her afterwards, she said, I want to have fun and I want to smile, and basically I know how to play tennis, and so at the moment this is what I need. And I think she's someone who, at the moment, this is what I need. Do I think this is long-term? No, I don't think that's breaking news, and I don't think it's going to make any headlines. I think for now it's working and through the grass, but then she will need something else, because it can't always be fun. It's nice for it to be like that now, but there are changes, and I think she will change again, and I think there will continue to be. She had a lovely relationship with Nick Cavaday. Sadly for Nick, there were health concerns which restricts him from travelling on the tour as much as she would like, and that's, you have to put your health before anything. So I think that's been difficult for her, because ideally she would have liked that to continue. Will there be more changes? Yes, I would expect so.
The women's side of all the major championships actually has been kind of a real, unpredictable kind of. I mean, look at Queens, obviously. You know, Tatiana Maria, 37 years old.
How does that happen?
Should I be putting 10 quid on Tatiana Maria?
To go deep, yes. To win it, no. I feel like I'm being very blunt in my predictions today.
Good.
Look, she's got the game. She's got a wonderful slicing game that the big hitters hate it. Works so well on grass, and it disrupts the big hitter. Like, what am I doing? Because she will slice everything. Will she go deep? She's been deep here before. Yes, she's got the confidence. It's amazing, isn't it? She's got her 2 daughters she travels with. She always talks about her elder daughter's going to be a player, and she is actually pretty good. Her husband's her coach as well. And to have that success this late on, having stepped away to have a family and to still be here, I think it's phenomenal. Imagine the juggle of that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
How do you
It's
juggle
amazing. Yeah, and they're obviously enjoying the ride at the moment.
Amazing.
On the men's side, obviously saying Jack to do well, maybe not his title this year. Alcaraz is your favourite there to retain his
title. Who would your favourite be?
Well, just walked past actually last year's the boards down there, of course, haven't been redone for this year, and seeing Alcaraz there, thinking, you're probably. I mean, he's kind of my favourite away from Jack, let's say as well.
I would go with that. Yes,
and he's also somebody who, the fact he went to Ibiza after he won French and had a nice time. He's got a balance in life. He has a smile on his face. He's kind of. I feel like you could have a drink with Carlos Alcaraz.
He's a fun guy.
Yeah, you could have a San Miguel.
or 2 or whatever. But no, he plays with. He said it's so important, isn't it? But I think people play sport for different reasons. Sinner's reasons, I think, are very different to Alcaraz's reasons, and it's good to have those contrasting styles and personalities in the game, whatever sport it is.
Give me a name then that might just emerge as somebody that we all kind of remember after this fortnight.
In the men's or
overall,
or the women's.
Anybody.
How about Novak Djokovic? I've heard that name before. But that's going to be a massive thing coming into this. Is he going to win?
Let me write that down.
Is he going to win 20? If we're going to remember this name, is he going to win 25? That's going to be such a big storyline for as long as he's in this tournament that people are looking out for, because he knows how to play on this. He knows how to win on this. And so many players, when
he's
it comes
looked at Tatiana Maria and said, "Gosh, 37, okay."
He's like, "Wow, we've got this. I've got this. I can do this." I mean, I think for him, the pressure of what he's trying to do is probably
huge.
Outweighing everything. But in terms of I joke with it, but it is a name to watch out for, because it's someone we're going to be looking at. And grass is such a difficult. So I think you've got to look at the Americans. You've got to look at Tommy Paul. You've got to look at Taylor Fritz. You've got to look at Ben Shelton. You've got to look at Francis Tiafoe, because they have the game. They'll slip and slide around on the grass. They will bring the entertainment, but they've got the game to play here. There are so many. I feel I'm now going to just go and reel off a list of players.
All the top seeds.
All the top seeds. What about Alexander Bublik, who just came through and won his first 500 title? The underarm serve, the slicing, the drop shot, the unpredictability. He actually tried to pull himself together and be serious. He had a son, and he said, "I'm going to be serious, I'm not going to mess around." But he lost 12 games in a row. So he went on a lads' weekend to Vegas to go back to what he does best, which is, when I interviewed him about 10 years ago, he said, my pastimes are partying. He went back to Vegas to party. Since then, he's been unstoppable. He's been absolutely unstoppable. And he's just won to beat Daniel Medvedev in Germany to win a 500 title. And you're thinking, you've got to be kidding me. So keep an eye on Alexander Bublik.
Okay. And on the women's side, as we just said, it's very unpredictable sport, women's tennis, isn't it? So
it is, isn't it? I think Aryna Sabalenka has to be the heavy favourite. She's lost in 2 Grand Slam finals this year. She's got the determination. I know she lost to Marketa Vondrousova recently, who went on to win the title, I think, in Berlin. And Vondrousova is a former champion here. Coco Gauff, having won the French. What about Coco Gauff and her game here? Do you throw Emma Raducanu into the mix? Some people maybe will put her into the mix.
Had a bit of a kind of breakdown, Coco Gauff, here last year, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. And she's still young, and she still has so much. But what I love about her is how she bounces back from that. All the talk about the weakness on the serve and the forehand that breaks down. And she's won 2 Grand Slam titles. How about Mira Andreeva? Just turned 18 years of age. She's fun, she's feisty, she's fiery, she's everything you want to see. She's coached by the great Conchita Martinez. She plays such a great round of tennis, and she has that belief. She's one of those players that walks out going, "I'm going to win this. I'm going to win the whole thing." She's definitely one to watch because she's exciting. But you can, and Petra Kvitova, it's going to be her last Wimbledon because she's officially retiring at the US Open this year. She's a 2-time champion. She's had her son. She's recently come back on the tour. I think definitely.
So many good stories.
So many good stories. And Iga Swiatek, Naomi Osaka, it's not their surface, but they're former number ones and Grand Slam champions. So what can they do here?
And for you, is this the most brilliant, exhilarating fortnight of the year, or is it kind of one that you get to the end of and go, thank God that all went well, because it's all eyes and ears are on you?
It's a little bit of both. I think because I travel pretty much the whole year on the tour with a mix of Sky Sports Tennis and with BBC 5 Live. As I said, they all have their own personalities, they all have their own pressures, they all have their own madness. The good thing about Wimbledon is the only slam that starts on a Monday. all the other 3, the US Open from August, will start on a Sunday. So it's one less day here. But it does bring with it more pressure because there is a lot more focus on. I could look at you and say, well, look, it's the same as any other tournament. It's a bunch of players and they're here and they're playing. But there is something about Wimbledon. It feels different. That pressure is different. So many people's attention drawn to it because of where it is. That I think it's a mix of both. I absolutely love it. I get consumed in it. I can't wait for it to begin. But at the end, you sit down and think, oh, okay, it's done.
Well, I hope you have some glorious moments to commentate on and look forward to hearing your coverage. Thanks so much for just peeking behind the curtain a little bit for us.
Gabby, thank you very much for having me, and I cannot wait to get started.
So we've come down to the Aryna practice courts. You'll have heard of these courts, but you've probably not seen behind the scenes here in quite this way before, because this is really access only to players and coaches and certain aspects of the media during the tournament. And right behind us here, Katie Boulter, Britain's number 2, recently usurped by Emma Raducanu, has just been practicing here. And just over there you might recognise a guy in a green t-shirt. Novak Djokovic is over there. He's just been having a hit, having a warm-up. He's got a big team with him, no surprise. Aryna Sabalenka, world number 1, is just on a bike over there because there's a kind of gym over here that's got various bits of equipment. She's been doing a medicine ball session with her coach as well. And then all around us, as far as the eye can see, we've got tennis players who are practicing either with their teams or maybe they've got one of the practice players. We'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. But this here is fascinating because we're a week away from the championship. And it is so busy here, and apparently during the fortnight as well, you can imagine it just stays busy because the players never know when they're going to get on court, do they? Whether it's going to be a 5-setter for the men or whether it's going to be 3 sets for the women. So they're looking at the match before them, wondering at what time do they start warming up. Maybe they start and then they stop and then they come back on court again. So this area here, as you can imagine, has to run like clockwork with people organising who's on court. And then behind us here, the players' lounge. This is where they can get some food and chill out if there's been a big delay. As I say, this is a real treat to get this kind of close up to what's going on with these world-class sports people. Daniel, thank you for joining us and giving us even more insight into what it's like here at Wimbledon in these final kind of days when you've got a player, you're coaching Grigor Dimitrov here at these championships, and the preparation that goes on for us to see behind the scenes here at the Aryna courts is very exciting. Do you get a buzz every time you come here?
It is a very special event. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. But yeah, very special event. It is the days leading up to it, but it always feels like this is the first day because it's the first day that the players are arriving here. So it feels like a countdown moment. 6 days to go. Very special feeling. Courts are empty now, but they'll start getting busier and busier. Players start getting their palms sweaty as the tournament gets closer. We start getting the chance to hit at the championship courts on Wednesday this week, so it's getting even more and more exciting once you start getting closer to center court. But yeah, looking forward to it, and the players are very excited.
You never know as a coach how long you're going to be at any tournament, do you? Because you don't know how well things are going to go. Take us back to when things went very well when you were coaching Andy Murray and what it was like to be part of such a historic team and a historic moment.
Well, that was a long time ago, 2013, the year he won. I was coaching him from 2010 onwards for a few Wimbledons, but very special being with him here at the All England. Obviously, the expectations that he had were huge, and from 2012, then 2013, and then 2016 with a different team, he had fantastic results here. A special moment. That was 12 years ago. It feels like 2 lives ago, but yeah, different times. It was incredible. It was a big team with Ivan right by my side. That was very special for me as a coach and as an ex-player myself. But yeah, very different situation right now. Working with Grigor. This is my 5th year working with Grigor. He's had great results here, but never got into a final. So obviously that's the goal. But you never know how long you're going to be here. It's a 14-day event. And yeah, usually you try and take it one day at a time and try and get as far as you can get the player.
And in terms of the pacing of a tournament, especially your experience of getting a player to a final in Andy, how you pace yourselves, how your energy is conserved or not, it must be a fine art.
It's a fine line. It depends also what stage of the let's say career the player is at, and they have more experience or less experience. This is Grigor's 17th season, so he's played here quite a fair amount of time, so he knows how to manage his energy. And obviously the load that you put in before the event at this stage of his career is lower than what you used to in the past. Obviously your goal is to be as fresh as you can for the middle weekend and then coming into the second week of the event, but it's a fine line. It's difficult to always get it right. Obviously as a team you're always striving to try and find the right balance on how much load you put in before the event, before the matches start, but you need to listen to the player. They have a lot of experience, particularly the one that I'm working with, so it's the dialogue has to be very, very fluid and dynamic between the player and the team to understand how he's feeling, whether he feels he needs more time on court or less time on court. But it'll be very different to how we used to prepare in 2016, 2017 to how he's preparing now 9 years later. Yeah.
In terms of that, so that's his physical preparation. In terms of the preparation for the opponent and what he expects from you, because he doesn't know who he's playing until the end of that day when he's qualified, how much work are you doing to kind of prepare a dossier on that player?
So for the first round we usually have 2 or 3 days because the draw is done on Friday, so we have the whole weekend to give him as much information as we can about the player. If it's a player that he hasn't competed with before, then we give him more. If it's someone that he knows well, then we manage the information depending on who the opponent is. Obviously then during the tournament we'll do a lot of work prior to the next round, looking at the draw, seeing who the potential opponents can be, but we try and keep him out of it as much as we can, and then we'll try and start sharing information the day before the match, but it depends on the personality of the player. Some players you share more information, some players you share a little bit less.
Knowing the person you're dealing with
is very important. With Andy we used to share a lot. He used to like to have as much information as possible, and he would challenge a lot of it, which was a great learning experience for me and the team, because it was pushing you to be better every day and to be as sharp and as precise as you could be.
So this information then leads to tactics, and you're effectively saying this is how you should play against this player.
Yeah, and it varies from tournament to tournament, right? Because the player that you're coaching is doing things better from week to week. So there's areas of the game that maybe are sharper this week and they'll be less sharp next week. So you also have to adjust depending how your player is performing that week. But mostly we try and prepare a plan that then gives him some guidance tactically during the match, and then it's up to him to have, we'll give him a plan B and plan C, but it's up to him to decide how he utilizes that during the match. Nowadays we can give a bit more information as the match is happening. We were not allowed to a few years back, so that's helpful for us.
Did you? Because we see players looking up at the box, don't we? And obviously, as you say, now you are allowed to coach from the box. But in the days when you weren't supposed to, why were they looking up at the box?
Usually to scream at you and to complain about maybe the wrong tactics. But there used to be some dialogue in the past, but it used to be minor, not as much as now.
Secret signals?
Maybe just a few different words that they would be, let's say, they would have hidden meanings. They would understand what they meant. But now it can be a little bit more vocal and more precise when you're speaking to them. But in the past, let's say we try and used to do it under the table.
And in terms of when they are losing it a little bit and things aren't going well and they're looking up and they start berating the box, what's your kind of go-to emotion at that point?
To be honest, I mean, after coaching for a lot of years, you just get to understand that 99% of the things they're telling you they don't mean. It's just a way of coping with the situation, and sometimes it's an outlet for them to try and release some of the pressure or some of the anxiety that they're having during the match. Of course there's boundaries to it and how far they can go, but as a coach you become a lot more lenient, especially during those high pressure moments in the match. It's very difficult for them to manage the ups and downs of a match, and you as a coach and as a team, that's your job to try and help them get through it and not take it too personal. I mean, it's difficult at times obviously because you're dealing with your own emotions and dealing with the pressure that you're feeling during the match, but your job as a team is to try and help the player in those situations as much as you can and not take it too personal.
No, and obviously when things go very well, when you win a Wimbledon title with your team, you imagine what goes on afterwards must be the most amazing party, the biggest elation. I was listening to Andy talking about this at the weekend, and he said the first time when you were involved, he went to the Champions Ball and didn't do what he really wanted to do, which was to hang out with all of you guys and actually, in his words, go for McDonald's and eat junk food was what he said he wanted to do. We see kind of, the glory shot of everybody kind of cheering in the box. And then after that, how does it feel? How does it feel for you?
It's a strange feeling. So when he won US Open in 2012, it was a big relief for him, also for the team. So we had a nice dinner, but it didn't feel like a celebration, which I know he's spoken about that he wished he would have celebrated more, but he had been working his whole career towards achieving those goals, and once it happens, you do get some relief, and you're like, okay, we got it done. There's a lot of energy that you have to spend to get to that point, not only the player but also the whole team, so you don't have that much energy to celebrate, to be honest, during that moment. And then maybe we did get together a few weeks later, which was a nicer experience altogether, but then when he won Wimbledon, obviously there's a lot happening around him after winning Wimbledon, which takes away from him maybe soaking in the moment, spending time with his family and friends and with the team, but that's part of it, and that's something that I'm sure he's learned over the years, and I think he did celebrate a bit more in 2016 when he won the second time.
He went for McDonald's, I can attest.
Usually after a 14-day Grand Slam, there's a lot of energy spent that when you get to the last
you're
day,
knackered.
Yeah, you're very, very tired, and all you feel like doing is sleeping for a few weeks afterwards. So yeah, usually it takes some time for it to sink in, particularly for the player.
And what about, he's obviously dipped his toe into coaching this year with Novak, and it's come to an end, that relationship. Did you see him when he was a player? You've already talked about the amount of information he wanted. Did you foresee that one day he would coach?
Yeah, I mean, if I was a player, I would definitely try and hire him. I think he would be a fantastic coach. I'm sure he was a great influence for Novak. You never know why things maybe work out at the time or they don't. It's all about timing. Maybe it wasn't the right timing for Novak. You just never know. But as a coach, I rate him highly. I think he has probably one of the best tennis minds that I've ever personally experienced. So yeah, hopefully he'll come back to coaching at some point. I know that he's not looking forward to it at the moment. But
no, I think it's a lifestyle thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, you know that, obviously.
Yeah. But I'm sure he will help some players, and he will give great input. And yeah, if I was a player, I would love to have him by my corner.
Because obviously he's got a young family, and it's a sacrifice, isn't it? You're a player, you're sacrificing everything, and then to go straight into coaching and that as your lifestyle. Tell us a bit about life on the road and how tough that is.
Life on the road is tricky. So I used to do the 35-40 weeks on the road back in the day. Now with the family at home, it's more difficult to do that, so I'm doing a lot less traveling. But to your question, it's 5, 6, 7 weeks on the road, not seeing family, spending 24/7 with the player and the team, going from hotel to hotel, from week to week, and it's something that, if you've been in tennis your whole life, you're somewhat used to it because you've been doing it since you're a kid. So it's not as challenging as it would be for someone that hasn't done it as much as we have as kids and as tennis players from 10, 11, 12 years old. But still, when you add years on the road, it does become more and more tiring the more you do it. So yeah, it's been 15 years for me now, so I'm slowing down as much as I can at the moment.
But I'm sure embracing every opportunity to come. When you come to Wimbledon, how does it rate for you in terms of the majors?
For me, it's number one. It's difficult not to say that. Obviously, it varies from player to player, but I think the majority of players will say that Wimbledon is the one, and if they had a choice to win one of the four, they would choose to win here at the All England Club. I think there is so much history, and there is a special feeling when you go through the gates and when you see the players sitting on the grass courts, that you can see that there's that extra kind of tension that everyone has, and I think that's what the event brings. So yeah, for me, Wimbledon would be number one.
And obviously, you said you kind of coach your player depending on what they've been like in the last few weeks. So if I was a betting woman, how far is Grigor Dimitrov going to go in this tournament?
Well, he's had a rough few weeks, pulling out of the French Open and then also having to pull out of the Queen's Club tournament. So he's getting better. So he's on the mend. He's a great grass court player. He's made the semi-finals here before obviously won Queen's. It's been 10 years since he won Queen's, but I think as long as he's healthy, I think he has a good chance to definitely win a few rounds. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Really enjoyed chatting to you, and
thank you.
Best of luck for the tournament.
Yeah,
thank you.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.
Marcelo, thank you for having a word with us. You come into this tournament as the number one ranked doubles player in the world, and perhaps for a lot of people, doubles kind of goes on at the side and kind of then comes into sharper focus towards the end of the tournament, doesn't it? Do you ever feel like you're kind of not given the credit you deserve?
Not really. I don't try to see it that way. You know, like we try to focus on what we do, and we try to feel like our job, our work is important. You know, like
it's very important.
At the end of the day, this is what we do for. For
do
living,
you get enough attention though, do you think?
Passion. Yeah, I think in Grand Slams we do now. In the ATP Tour, there are like things that are improving a lot from many years ago. I think I'm pretty lucky to be playing at these times. You know, like I heard years before, at some point they even wanted to get rid of doubles years ago, and you know, like some people had to stand up and try to stop that. But luckily, and these times, you know, we don't have to go through all that tough times. You know, I think everything has improved a lot in doubles.
The prize money's got a lot better.
Prize money got way better. You know, like the pension got a lot better too.
So tell us what the prize money is for the doubles here. What could you win?
I think if you win the whole thing, I think you walk out with probably £250,000 maybe.
Not bad for a couple of weeks' work.
That could be even after taxes, though. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's pretty good. Keeps you having kind of more doubles going on through the year, of course. And for you, you are huge back home in El Salvador. The sports personality of the year, I understand. So you have really put doubles tennis on the map at home. That's for sure. What is your life like at home when you go back to San Salvador?
Well, I wish I go more often to El Salvador. Now I have base in Miami. You know, and since Miami is such a big
rubbish
city,
place to live.
you know, like I'm not a big thing in Miami because you have so many athletes there. But I enjoy actually going back to El Salvador. You know, like I think I have become a good example. You know, for the future generations. I have make other kids and other athletes believe that with hard work and
because it's not
consistency, you know, you can achieve your dreams.
It's not known for its tennis players, right?
Not at all.
So how does a kid in San Salvador start playing tennis?
I started probably when I was 5 years old. My parents were members of this beach country club, and they used to play tennis, but socially, you know, nothing competitive. I grabbed my racket. I was pretty lucky that my older brother started playing earlier than me because he's 4 years older than me. So as a
it's
younger
like Jamie
brother,
and Andy.
exactly. Actually, my brother was the same age as Andy, and they were playing juniors together. And as a younger brother, you know, I was just trying to be as my big brother, you know, and I think he was one of my biggest inspirations. And then he became a good junior player. He was in the top 10, and then he became top 300 in singles. So I always had him, and I always look after him.
And basically followed into his footsteps. He played against Federer at the Olympics, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
As well.
He did.
So.
He did in 2008. That was a huge moment for me. I remember woke up super early to watch his match, and that's when I actually said, you know, like if he's there, you know, like playing against the number one in the world, you know, I can also make it happen. You know, I can.
The hard way. So tell us a bit about going out on tour and going to the challenges and picking up the points and what that life is like.
Well, when I decided to turn pro after junior career, you know, I had 1 year actually. I did pretty good. I think I reached to the top 400 in singles, and then I had to go to college. Financially, in that moment, let's say like we were not in the best position, or ideally, you know, to keep traveling, to keep investing, like traveling with a coach or with a good team. So we decided to go to college, you know.
And where did you go?
I went to University of Tulsa. In those 2 years, I realized that I wanted to play professional. You know, that was my passion. That's what I wanted to do in life, and I had to talk to my coaches, you know, and say like that I will quit college for a little bit. We're still in that a little bit, so I haven't gone back yet. So
is that door open? You're going to go back to university?
I haven't gone back yet. So yeah, you know, like
And that, I suppose, the stakes are high then, aren't they? You've got to make it work if you are sacrificing that.
Yes, of course. It wasn't easy, but I really enjoyed the whole journey, the whole process. This was my dream, and to be honest, if you would ask me 10 years ago if I would think that I would become number one in the world in doubles, I don't think I will answer yes. I just wanted to make it. I just wanted to make it to the top 100, and then top 50, and then
So why doubles?
once you're there,
What was the kind of turning point when you started focusing on doubles?
I had a dream, and my dream was always competing at the tournaments that I was watching on TV. I remember my dad always waking me up and call me to watch all the matches, all the Master 1000. They used to call Super 9. I remember that. And we were watching all those matches, on TV. Andre Agassi, Boris Becker, Pete Sampras, and that was my dream. Try to play those tournaments. In 2020, I had to make a big decision in my life, and it was to quit singles. I reached my highest singles ranking at 139 in the world when in 2018. And it wasn't easy for me to keep up with both rankings. I was already top 15 doubles. I was playing the Grand Slams. I was playing some of the Master 1000s. And my dream was that. My dream was competing at the biggest stages against the best players in the world. And I saw that the way to achieve that, it was almost there.
Throw all the eggs into
doubles,
that basket.
Doubles, So
Yeah.
I just decided to go
So you travel
full time in doubles.
with Pavic, your partner. You travel together. You compete together. Do you have to get on all the time? Do you have to live in each other's pockets, or are you able to kind of?
No. I think one of the good things that we do is we give each other space. And it's great that he became a dad 7 months ago. So now we kind of on our own. He's taking care of his family. He goes for dinners with his family. I go with my family. I have 2 kids already, and
you have your real lives, and then you have your partnership together on court.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, once in a while, of course, we put the families together. We go dinners with the family, but not every day. We used to do that more often when we started playing. Because he didn't have a daughter. And we had more time, but now when you spend the whole day at the courts, you want to go back and see your family, spend time with your kids, and basically when we are together, that's when we do the work together.
So we're quite excited to be around the Arangi courts here, because this is really kind of a special place to be, isn't it? You can see Novak Djokovic has been practicing over here. We saw Coco Gauff over there. You've got Tsitsipas just behind us here. Sabalenka was in the gym earlier on. Do you get a bit kind of sat down and had lunch today, had a chat with Novak Djokovic, or is this just work? This is your workplace?
It is my workplace, but of course when you see Novak, it's quite impressive. He's probably the best player of all time, and then you want to show him kind of respect. You don't want to bother him too much because he's on his own, with his team also. He has a lot of things to do also. And
he's also been looking out for players' welfare, hasn't he?
Sorry?
He's been looking out for players' welfare. He's been quite vocal about some of the demands on the players' lives and kind of how.
He's been a big supporter of tennis in general, especially for the lower ranking guys. To try to have a good living as well. So he's been there for everybody.
Do you think there needs to be a shake-up in the sport in that respect, regards the players' welfare? Do you understand what the concerns are?
Yes, but to be honest, I think it's been improving a lot. I remember not long ago when I was still playing singles, the prize money wasn't as good as what it's now, and I think, of course, we cannot have everything at once, so we need to be patient, but I think our sport is growing and growing and growing every day.
And certainly the global reach of the sport, you are a testament to that, aren't you? Will everybody be at home, can't work out time zones, be up early in the morning, won't they? Will they be turning their TVs on to watch you?
I hope, yeah. I hope they will.
You've certainly increased the popularity of tennis in El Salvador. Yeah. Can you give us a little insight into what goes on at the net? Right, we've seen a few high-profile incidents recently. In the women's game, there've been a couple of incidents of players not being very nice to each other, saying things that are quite rude, and obviously, we see these conversations that go on. What's being said at the net? When you go up at the end of the match and you can see players for a couple of minutes having a conversation. What kind of things do they say?
I think those things happen when something happened between them during the match, and then of course in the heat of the moment, you sometimes say things that they just go out of your
Have you ever
mouth.
have you ever said anything that you regret afterwards?
When I was playing singles, I was getting more, like kind of like that inside me. Now that I play doubles, if I lose a match, I try to think like it wasn't my fault, so I don't get, that
Angry.
not angry anymore. No, I'm kidding.
You just
But
blame
yeah,
your poor partner.
I'm just trying to, to keep it for me, and then.
Are there some genuine rivalries where you see players not even acknowledge each other around here? Are there some kind of, is there a bit of bad blood between some players?
I don't know. I feel like before, nobody were kind of like socializing too much to each other, But I feel like I kind of like understand that too, because tennis is like so competitive, Like you see the same guy every single week for like probably for the past 5 years, and at the end of the day, like we all here for the same goal, Like you playing for big money, you playing for big goals, and of course I get happy when one of my friends achieves something, but I get more happy when I achieve something.
How many friends would you say you have in tennis? Like how many players could you actually say?
I would say I very little, like from the tour that I can really trust and call my friend. I will say maybe I can count with one hand. Yeah.
And that kind of backs up. Did you hear of Conor Nyland's book, Racket, which won a lot of awards? He was an Irish player who wrote about what it's really like being ranked. I think his highest ranking was 129 on the tour, went to an American university, and he said the same thing, really, at the end of a career, how he didn't really have any friends on the tour, and paints quite a tough, lonely life.
Yeah, it is. That's what I try to honestly enjoy a lot of time with my family. I mean, I'm extremely happy when I'm around my family. That's what I try also.
Are they here?
They're coming in a couple days, so that's what I always try to have my family around me. Sometimes my parents will come, my brother, my sister. Like
expensive, bring them all over.
I know, but like at the end of the day, that's the only thing you take with you. Those memories. For me, having my parents when I won my second Grand Slam in Paris, that was probably the highlight of my career, something that I will never forget, and I'm sure they will never forget that too.
So what would it mean to you to win here in a couple of weeks' time?
It will be amazing, like I think everybody's dream is to win here at Wimbledon, especially when it's not your favorite surface or the one that you play, let's say, like better, even Rafa said that his dream was to win Wimbledon when he was more as a clay court player.
Yeah.
But I think Wimbledon has something special that makes you.
And do you like the traditions? Do you like wearing all white?
I do like it.
Yeah.
I do like it. I wish we could have it more in the tour, because I think it looks very elegant,
Yeah, and what about, there are some innovations this year, obviously, and Wimbledon has chosen to just go with the automated line calls, not having the line judges. How do you feel about that?
I'm a bit sad of that, because I was born in the 90s, and we were used to have the linemans and calling the balls, I'm a big supporter of the Hawkeye, because as humans we can make mistakes, so then you can request the Hawkeye, but having no humans in the court and then only the machines, I don't know, it feels like the court is empty, like it's missing something. But I think we need to adapt. The times are changing, and we gotta
go with the times.
We gotta adapt.
And do players get excited about strawberries and cream, or is it just the British public who are coming to watch?
I think all the players love strawberries and cream. Yeah. I do personally, yeah.
Have you had your first punnet of strawberries yet?
Already, yes. Because I played at Queen's last week, so.
Of course, they have it there. Yeah. Well, obviously you've been blessed with the weather so far. You'll have enjoyed the weather in Queen's, very much like home, I imagine, last week. So hopefully it'll be a sunny fortnight for you, and it'll go brilliantly. Thank you so much for chatting to us. Thank you. So Jess Matthews has joined us on the Sports Agent special look behind the scenes here at Wimbledon, and you are somebody that people at home will have no idea how important you are to so many of these players, because your role during Wimbledon fortnight is?
I'm the official hitting partner.
So one of a few people chosen to be at the beck and call of the world's top tennis players. Explain how the process works.
Yeah, so it's kind of a really intense but such a rewarding job where the players will call me up whenever they need a hit or a practice or even the match warm-up for about 20 to half an hour, and it's kind of just play with them, do whatever drills they need, practice and do some points as well, and yeah, whatever they need to help them out before the matches.
So will they be telling you what they want? The coaches tell you if they say, look, we're just doing lobs now, or we'd like to volley?
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of both. The players like to take lead sometimes, but also some players are a bit shy and they kind of let the coach do the talking, so it's a real mix and you never really know what you're getting into until you're on the court.
This is your third year doing this?
Yes.
Which obviously means that you're pretty good. If they get you back every year, they want you. But you have your own tennis career and aspirations. So you're at university in the States.
Yes.
And tell us how you got the job in the first place.
Yeah, so 3 years ago I was playing the juniors here and I finished my match, had such a close one, and then a man just came up to me and kind of said, would you fancy being a hitting partner next year? And I was delighted, obviously, to come back, and just being in the ground is such a privilege as a player and a hitting partner, and I just couldn't say no. Had such an amazing first year, and then I've just been back every year ever since.
So tell us how the day starts. At what time are you on call?
So it starts about 9 o'clock in the morning. You get called up and they send like a brief schedule of the day, and it's very brief for the time, and then there's a group chat which they kind of let us know who you're playing with, where you're playing, courts, balls, and yeah, they could call you at any moment of the day up until about 7 o'clock in the evening.
So you're hanging around here at Arangi basically?
Yes.
And you're being told, get down to practice court 10.
Yeah.
Because Sabalenka wants to serve at you.
Yeah, and they kind of say like which one of all the hitters has, I don't know, like the biggest serve or the best forehand, and they'll say, okay, well, this player needs you now, and yeah, go.
So what's your speciality? What is the thing that they call you in for generally?
I would probably say serve or match warm-up.
Right.
Because especially for the women's, I'm the only female hitting partner they've ever had, so they kind of make the most of the game style that I play, and it's very different shape on the ball between the men's. It's a lot more height and spin, whereas I hit it just like the females. So.
Right, so most of the hitting partners are male?
Yeah, all of them other than me.
So it's behind here now, Katie Bolter's having a session, and Andy in the blue shirt there.
Adam.
Adam is her hitting partner. He's kind of getting involved in some of the drills.
Yes.
And this is the kind of thing you'd be doing normally, is it?
Not typically like this. Usually it's just hitting.
Right.
And it could be anything from running from side to side, or I'll make them run around.
Is it exhausting?
Yeah, it's really tiring. It's so tiring, but then it's just such a privilege to be called on again, and you can't really say no when you've got the best in the world.
Are you learning from them as well, do you feel?
So much. And the coaches have so much great experience with all of the tips they give me and all of the information. It's just trying to take it all in. And
so what's the most kind of pinch me moment you've had over those 3 years? Who have you hit against and thought, wow?
Oh, there's so many. I would say either Azarenka, just because she's so friendly, and she specifically requested me for all of her hits throughout the champs last year and the year before, which was so nice. And she introduced me to her son, and like the whole family took me in, which was so nice. But Venus Williams was also amazing, just so phenomenal, and seeing Serena as well, which was just like a childhood dream of mine.
So you hit with Venus Williams?
Yes, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. She also asked me to go into her box and be part of the team for her match, which was so amazing.
You sat in her box?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So go on, you can tell us your wish list this year, right? So who do you want to get a call from? Who would you like the text to come from?
Oh, I'm not sure actually. I think maybe I played with Iga last year, but only for one 45-minute hit. So maybe a couple more with her. Never hit with Raducanu, but we know each other, and since young age.
The call could come from Raducanu this year.
Yeah, which would be so nice.
If I see you in the box on centre court with Raducanu's team, I think, oh, Jess has got a big job.
It's been a great year.
And do you have to kind of retain a real kind of, because you can't be kind of smashing balls at them and trying to get winners, can you? Do you have to be a little bit humble?
Yeah, everything's about just consistency. It's all about how many balls you can give them of good enough quality that's not pushing them too much that it's just winners straight past or errors, but it's just all about providing them with the practice that they need with as many consistent quality balls.
Okay, so here's a question then. So how many years before you're calling up a hitting partner? When are we going to see you in the main draw here?
Well, hopefully soon. Hopefully I finish university in 2 years and then probably play on the Pro Tour for a couple more years after, and hopefully sometime after then Fingers crossed. So yeah, that would be a dream.
And I imagine when that day comes and you do get a hitting partner, you'll know exactly how to treat them and leave them with great memories like you've had. Okay, you're not going to name any names, I'm sure, but have you had experiences that weren't quite as pleasant with some players?
I wouldn't say anything too bad.
They're all lovely.
Yeah, they're all so nice, so friendly.
and tell us, obviously this is kind of the area here, Orangi, where the players go upstairs, they have their food, they hang out, and is food good?
Yeah, it's so nice.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's such good quality. You've got all the protein options, obviously, breakfast, lunch and dinner. They provide us with like a meal plan menu for just anything that we'd like. There's pasta, sandwiches, just any food you can think of.
So
they have it.
It's pretty good perks with the job then.
Yeah, loads of great perks.
Okay, well, I think we're probably keeping you from some. We just saw Djokovic walk over there. You know, you never know. He might decide. He wants to have you serving at him in a minute. So, thanks so much, Jess. It's it's fascinating. All these jobs that we didn't know existed at Wimbledon, and you can also leave here and go up to Roehampton as well. I understand.
Yeah,
So
I'll be heading over
you're
this
mobile.
afternoon. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we've just nipped back up to the broadcast centre roof here to meet Andy Chevalier, the man in charge of balls. Okay, so can you have a Wimbledon tournament without Andy Chevalier? No, you cannot. New balls, please. You are the man, Andy, charged with making sure that everybody in this tournament has the balls that they want when they want them. How many balls, Andy, do you have to bring in?
I took delivery of 66,000 this year for the championships,
and that's normal every year.
We've upped it. If it's raining, we go through a lot more balls, and so we had to up it because the last 2 years have been very rainy.
So is that because you know the weather forecast for the next few weeks, or are you just hedging your bets?
I mean, I check it every day. It's looking lovely at the moment.
Right. Okay.
Come on down.
So you could be quids in and have a few balls left.
Yeah, could be.
Okay. And the balls that you use, you've got a can here for us. They are all the same.
Yes.
There's nothing. Nobody has any kind of special balls coming in.
No trick balls. No.
Okay. And they're the kind of balls that they would be using in every tournament, pretty much, that they play.
Yeah. The only difference about the Wimbledon balls is they are 3 ball tins, because the ball boys and girls use 2. They've only ever got 6 in rotation at any one time.
Right. Okay. And every tin is opened fresh on court.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you want to do that satisfying sound for me and get me?
I've got an open one for you.
Oh, have you? Okay. Well, do you want to take your mic while you open it and you get a ball? Oh, I love that sound when the top of the tin.
I know.
I'll do it now. There, you've just done it. So here we have Slazenger balls.
Slazenger balls in a 357 tin.
Okay, what does that mean?
So this is a special tin that we give to each chair umpire,
right, in
case they lose a ball during a match. So this is something spectators would never know about.
No.
But if you're on one of these outside courts, these beautiful courts here, and a doubles player is right at the net and he smashes a ball out, then they'll lose a ball in the rotation. As I said, the ball boys and girls have only ever got 6 on the go at once.
Right.
And so at that point, they're down to 5. But you can't just drop a new ball into the rotation, because that ball can be hit harder and faster than any of the others. Okay. But also,
so all 6 are retired at the same time.
All 6 are retired after 9 games. So you might have a 4-game ball, you might have a 7-game ball, you might have an 8-game ball when you lose them, and you can't drop just any old ball back into the rotation.
Right.
So I give every umpire 3 choices
So 9
of balls.
games, no matter how long those games are, because you could have extraordinarily long games or very short games.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So some of those tennis balls will be absolutely battered, and others quite fresh.
Yeah, exactly. And they're losing their pressure all the way through that.
Right.
So, and obviously the less pressure they have, the less hard they can be hit.
Do you want to take your mic and you can pass me one of the balls?
There you go.
They're incredibly fresh and hard, aren't they?
Yeah, so these come from practice court this morning.
Right. Oh, they have been used then?
Yeah, these are 2025 balls, yes.
Okay. And so you were just saying before, we were talking about the fluffiness of the ball. And that is one of the reasons that the players kind of look at the balls, check the balls and toss one away.
Yeah, exactly. So they're looking for which ball they can hit the hardest. So they want the least fluffy and the one where the logo is least worn. And so, they're looking for that so that they can serve as hard as possible.
That's towards the end of the rotation of the balls in particular? So just before they're about to get new balls, maybe it starts to get more obvious that the balls are getting.
It will get more obvious for sure.
And it's not just an affectation that they kind of they toss them away. And so when they've chosen the ball that they want, obviously that the other ball's still in the rotation, isn't it? So it comes up again. So you could get one poor ball that's getting rejected the whole time.
You could do, but then that would eventually become the hardest ball to hit.
Right.
Because if you're rejecting it all the time, it's not being hit.
Right.
It's keeping its pressure.
Are there any players you've noticed who just don't bother checking? They just get on with it? Or are they all...
Not like I've seen. They all do it. And I think it gives them a little minute, doesn't it?
A second to just to compose themselves,
Yeah.
What's your biggest nightmare with the balls, Andy?
Rain.
Right.
Rain. There's nobody sadder on these courts when it rains than me, because we need to provide every court with warm-up balls. Because if there's a rain delay, then the chair umpire will collect up the balls at the moment the suspension has happened. They'll collect those balls up, and they won't be used until that match is continued, which could be the next day, it could be a couple of days later, and they're not going to carry on with those balls until the match continues. But the players need to warm up. And so, as we were saying about the different pressure of the balls, the players need to warm up with something that is a used ball. They can't warm up with a new ball because they'll get used to that, and then the match will continue, and they could be using 8-game balls. So I am constantly trying to find from previous days' balls that I think have been used for about 5 games.
Right.
And they provide warm-up balls for every court that needs.
Do you have a ball assistant, or is this all on you?
No, there's a team of us.
Right, okay.
There's a team.
This is huge pressure, I feel. What's the worst complaint anybody's ever made, a player's made to you about the balls? Like, when have you felt like mortally wounded by something a player has said?
I've been more puzzled than mortally wounded. There was a match I was watching on one of the monitors on court 12 where a chair umpire was opening new can after new can. Now, we only give them 21 cans at the start of each match. A men's single match can only go through 16 cans, but this chair umpire was going through all the balls, all the new cans, and checking the balls as if there was something wrong. And it's because a server kept rejecting the balls that were coming in. I think they were just having a bad moment in the match.
Right,
looking for something to
but
blame.
it made you a little bit concerned.
Well, we had to go and deliver a few more balls to make sure they got through the rest of the match.
And okay, we're here a week away from the start of play. What do you do for the rest of the year?
I'm an actor and a writer.
Okay.
So nothing to do with tennis. And I just come in for a month a year to do
you love
this lovely
tennis?
job. I like tennis, but it's very similar to the acting thing. There is a whole world of different departments coming together to put on an amazing live event.
This is a big show.
And this is a big, big show.
And you're in charge of one of the key props, let's say, in this show. Yes. Without you, there would be no tennis. So, Andy, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you and find out the kind of the secrets behind the balls. Actually, we should ask you about the future of the balls. Because if you're away after this, kind of doing auditions and acting, do you know what happens to the balls? I mean, we hear that they go to various dogs' homes and tennis clubs and...
So, the future of the balls happen in 3 ways. One, if they're really, really worn, they've lost their logo, you can't see it says Wimbledon 25 on it, then lucky police dogs get them. But for nearly all the balls, we will resell them for the Wimbledon Foundation. So we're raising money for the foundation all the time. And for me, it's the best thing you can buy on site, because you'll get a ball that could have been hit by Alcaraz on centre court, for £2, you'll get an amazing souvenir.
You just
don't know. But you can tell people
that it was. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's likely to have been hit by Alcaraz.
Exactly.
It's likely, yeah.
And then the third thing that happens is that as I say, you've only got 3 ball tins at Wimbledon. Mm-hmm. So if we have got any left over, the ball boys and girls will use them next year as they're practicing and as they're learning their role for next year.
And when a player at the end throws a ball into the crowd,
I wrestle that spectator to the ground and get the ball back. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Where better to finish today than Henman Hill, Murray Mound, Draper's Dune, Draper's Down, Draper's Drop. I think we've still got to work on that one. This, of course, is famous for those amazing scenes. And it was named Henman Hill, obviously, back in the day because Tim Henman playing on this behind you here, which is this incredible, massive screen. I don't think it was like that back in Henman's day, actually. And then the crowds would gather here and create loads of atmosphere. You'd see on the TV coverage, the cameras would cut to it here, seeing the reaction. I mean, it's much more gentrified, as is everything around here, and manicured than it was back in the day. It was literally just a hill. Now you've got various sponsors having pavilions here. There's even a little stand at the back, a water feature. It kind of sums up Wimbledon, doesn't it? Because it's got the authenticity and the tradition of what it originally was, but then the opportunity to throw a few sponsors in, make it look even more beautiful, and somewhere that you don't just feel like you've come here because you can't get anywhere else. You want to come here, you want to join in the atmosphere. And It is an extraordinary place. I think today has kind of highlighted how much goes on behind the scenes that none of us really know about until you come in here and you kind of scratch the surface. From meeting Jess, who of course is going to be somebody who is literally on demand all the time to play against the players. But, you know, think about those people and what their day looks like. And then, of course, Andy, our ball man. You'll never look at the balls at Wimbledon the same way again, will you? And just hearing from Marcelo, the number one doubles player in the world, and you've probably never heard of him and coming into this unless you're a massive doubles fan, but he has an incredible career, an incredible life, and is just as big a feature and a bigger part of this championship, because without the doubles, without the wheelchairs, without what's going on kind of around the tournament beforehand, the qualifiers, and of course then Junior Wimbledon, you know, it would just be a load of great men and women coming and playing tennis, but it's so much more than that. And I think we've really enjoyed kind of seeing everything that goes on around Wimbledon. It has really whet the appetite. I cannot wait for the championships to get started. It's just a shame that Chappers wasn't here, because we're about to go off now and enjoy some strawberries and cream. So maybe I'll take some back to the sports agent's offices for him, although they might be a bit soggy by then. But that's his fault. That's his fault for not turning up today. From all of us here at Wimbledon, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time on The Sports Agents.
The Sports Agents.
With Gabby Logan and Mark Chapman.